We would like to welcome everyone to this April 14th meeting of the Corsicana ISD Board of Trustees. This is a regularly scheduled workshop, and all items that will be discussed have been duly posted. While this is a meeting in public, it is not a meeting of the public. If you wish to speak, please register in the lobby for audience for guests and follow the instructions on the speaker form. The board's role is to set goals, approve personnel and budget, make policy, and provide oversight. We are not here to manage or solve individual problems. Management is the responsibility of the superintendent. As a board, we believe we must educate every child, give every child the greatest opportunity to learn, and to provide a safe and secure environment mentally, physically, emotionally, and academically. And these are our core values. We appreciate your interest in the students of CISD. The first item on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Next, we'll have our invocation led by Mr. Kamar Chambers.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we first and foremost say thank you, God. God, we thank you for life, health, and strength. We thank you for protecting us and keeping us covered as we've traveled up and down these roads, God. God, we thank you for just continue to watch over our children. We ask that you would continue to protect us and protect them as they move about their daily lives, Father. Father, we ask that you would just continue to give us the guidance and the knowledge to make the right decisions that concerns this district, Father God. We love you right now, God. Thank you for this fellowship and this gathering. We ask all these things in your Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Next is audience for guests. Do we have any audience for guests? Okay. Now we're going to move into closed session. We'll adjourn into closed session as permitted by Texas Governance Code Section 551.01. Section 551.074 is personnel matters. The board will discuss the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, and dismissal of public employment or officials. We will be discussing the coach and the athletic director position. So we will be back momentarily. Do we have any action that we're going to take from closed session?
Yes, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to name Eugene Rogers as the Corsicana's athletic director.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to name Eugene Rogers as the Corsicana athletic director. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Congratulations, Coach Rogers. We're very excited to have you leading our athletic department. Do we have any other action from closed session?
Madam President, I would like to nominate Terrence Lewis as the Assistant Athletic Director.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to name Terrence Lewis as the Assistant Athletic Director for boys athletics?
Assistant.
Oh, Assistant Athletic Director. Okay. All right. So we have a motion. Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Congratulations, Coach Lewis. Do we have any other action that we need to take?
Yes, one more. I would like to make a motion to name Courtney Anderson, Girls Athletic Coordinator.
So we have a motion. Second to name Courtney Anderson as the Girls Athletic Coordinator. All in favor? Aye. No. Any opposed? No. All right. Courtney Anderson will be our new Girls Athletic Coordinator. All right. Could we have Coach Rogers and Coach Lewis? I don't.
She's here.
Oh, Coach Anderson, could y'all come up so we could get a picture?
sir, if you don't mind.
Did you move to Mount?
Step on your toes. I can get on this podium, it's gonna be in the way, but you're happy. Okay, all right, everybody see me? 1, 2, 3. Got it, thank you. Thanks, sir. Thanks.
Congratulations.
We're very excited about the future of CHS athletics, so thank y'all for your willingness to lead our athletic department. All right, next item on our agenda is discussion action items. First will be board training credit announcement. Under State Board of Education rule, completing required continuing education each year of service is a basic obligation and expectation of any sitting board member. As board president, I am required to announce the name of each member who, as of that member's anniversary of election or appointment to the board, has completed the required continuing education, has exceeded the required continuing education, and is deficient in meeting the required continuing education. The requirements for training are measured as of the first anniversary of the date of the trustee's election or appointment, or 2-year anniversary of his or her previous training as applicable. There are 7 training areas for board members' continuing education. 1, local district orientation. 2, orientation to the Texas Education Code. 3, team building. 4, additional continuing education. 5, evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. 6, identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. To the extent applicable to each board member, I will announce the completion or deficiency as to required training. For members who still have time remaining to complete required training, I will announce those board members who have scheduled timely training and those who have not yet scheduled training. At the conclusion of this announcement, I will announce any board members' training in excess of continuing education requirements. Local district orientation. Melissa Castillo and Christopher Minkins have completed local district orientation. Introduction to the Texas Education Code. Melissa Castillo and Christopher Minkins have completed the introduction to the Texas Education Code. Post-legislative update. No board members were required to complete post-legislative update to the Texas Education Code training for the time period covered by this announcement. Team building. All board members are deficient in board team building training. This training will be conducted in June of 2025. Evaluating student academic performance and setting goals. Note, this training must be completed every 2 years. The following board members have completed the Evaluating and Improving Student Outcome training. Jamie Roman, Kathy Branch, Brad Farmer, Kamar Chambers, Melissa Castillo, Christopher Minkins, and Dr. Seth Brown. Identifying and reporting abuse, trafficking, and other maltreatment of children. Note, this training must be completed every 2 years. The following board members have completed the biannual training on identifying and reporting abuse and trafficking and other maltreatment of children. Kathy Branch, Kamar Chambers, Christopher Minkins, Jamie Roman, Brad Farmer, Dr. Seth Brown, and Melissa Castillo. School safety. The following board members have completed the biennial training on school safety. Jamie Roman, Kathy Branch, Brad Farmer, Kamar Chambers, Dr. Seth Brown, Melissa Castillo, and Christopher Minkins. Exceeding required continuing education. Board Member Jamie Roman exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 20 additional hours. Board Member Kathy Branch exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 6 additional hours. Board Member Brad Farmer exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 29.25 hours. Board Member Dr. Seth Brown exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 8.5 hours. Board Member Christopher Minkins exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 10.75 hours. Board Member Melissa Castillo exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 15.75 hours. Board Member Kamara Chambers exceeded the required amount of continuing education training by 15.25 hours. All right. Good job, everybody. Gifted and talented is our next update.
Good evening, Ms. Howell, Ms. Roman, distinguished members of the board. I wanted to go ahead and give you guys some updates, but I also want to let you guys know that the show is going to be right here. They're going to come up here in a minute and be able to showcase exactly what they're doing, which is some great things. We are up currently GT students within the district from 12.1% to 12.7% this year. We are using a universal screener to administer to all first grade students. And our number of GT students enrolled in AP and dual credit classes, we have 87 of our students at the high school that are GT also enrolled in AP and dual credit. Our first and fourth grade students, they go once a week to half day at Fannin. Our fifth and sixth grade, they spend 1 hour a day. And our seventh and eighth grade, they have a STEM class through PLTW. And basically, it's learning about programming, but the ultimate goal at the end of it is they're developing microcontrollers to be able to do programming with. So it's pretty cool to get to watch them, and they're really excited about it. 9th and 12th grade students, they are working on GT level course credit through pre-AP, AP, CTE, electives, and then also dual credit. And our fall showcase, we had over 350 people who attended. And we want to make sure, too, to invite you to the spring showcase, and those dates are May 5th, May 6th, 7th, 8th, and then also for 5th and 6th grade, May 16th. And that is it for me. Ms. Symington and Ms. Ware are GT teachers, and they do an amazing job with our kids, and they're going to come up here right now and show you some cool things that they're working on.
Ms. Ware wasn't able to be here tonight, but we do have one of her friends here with us. We're going to let I have a couple of third graders here. We'll let them kind of introduce themselves and then show you what they've been working on. So, just a second. Hi everyone, my name is Rin. I'm a third grade GT
third, and I think she was fifth.
Very good. Good job. All right. Next, we're going to have a technology department update.
All right. Okay. Madam President, distinguished members of the board, thank you for allowing me to present the technology update to you all tonight. I do have a lot of information to share, so I thought it would be helpful just to break it up into different sections. And so we'll start with network infrastructure, and we'll do a quick overview of the E-rate program, which is a lot of the funding vessel of how we get a lot of those programs or projects done. And then we'll move into cybersecurity and student data privacy. And then we'll touch on classroom technology, and I do have an information item and an action item for the board in that section. And then we will wrap up with summer plans. So I'll pause for questions at the end of each section, but of course, just stop me at any point and I'll be happy to answer anything you might have. Okay, so a lot of the projects that we do when it comes to upgrading our network infrastructure, we're only really able to do them because we utilize the E-rate program that really funds most of those things. And so I thought it would be ideal, before we talk about the upgrades that we've done, just to give the board a quick overview of that program. And so E-rate, it was established in 1996 by the Telecommunication Act. The goal of this program is to help school districts and libraries just gain access to enterprise network equipment, because that stuff's really very expensive. So whenever we run networks at this size, they can be upwards of $120,000, $150,000 for a router or something like that. And so super expensive. And so it's administered by USAC, which stands for the Universal Service Administrative Company, which has FCC oversight. And so the way the program works is it provides discounts ranging from 20 all the way up to 90%. It is based off your free and reduced lunch numbers along with your enrollment numbers. And so right now, what I have come up with, so this program works in a 5-year funding cycle. The first funding cycle started in 2020. It is ending this year, and the next funding cycle starts this next fiscal year. And so with where we are with free and reduced lunch numbers and our enrollment, the discount that we would receive on the equipment that we purchase is 85%, which is tremendous. And so, that leaves, if we're buying a $100,000 router or something along our firewall, something very expensive like that, that leaves the district responsible for only 15% of that total cost. So the program works in 5-year funding cycles. Next one starts in 26-27. For every student that is enrolled, we have $167 that is awarded to the district. And so the budget, the math that I have, it looks like that we will land with right at $1 million over the next 5 years to take care of this. And so last update is something that they've started is a cybersecurity pilot program. And so we plan to file an application in this coming fall so we can gain access to the resources as well. Can I answer any questions about that? Okay. All right. So this past year we only had around 86,000 or so, and so these were the things that we were able to accomplish. And so we installed a secondary firewall. The purpose for this is just redundancy. And so if our primary firewall, where our main internet connection were to fail, that is the connection for everybody in our district. And so everybody would be down at that point. And so this firewall is redundant. If that were to happen, it fails over. When we tested it, it was less than 5 seconds. Nobody would even know the difference. And we actually had a couple situations this year where that happened and nobody even knew. And we were able to continue to work, and learning in the classroom was not disrupted. The same thing with the one under that. We installed a secondary wireless controller. The wireless controller is what controls these white things hanging from the ceiling. Those are access points, and that's what's emitting the Wi-Fi throughout all of our campuses and our buildings. And so if our wireless controller goes down, Wi-Fi goes down, students lose connection and disruption to the day. And so this is just redundant to that. Everything but fell over, Wi-Fi stays up. Last thing we did is we upgraded our wide area network. And so we took the fiber that has connected all of our campuses and is coming back here to our admin building. We took that from a 10 gig pipe to a 20 gig pipe. And so we just took a size like this and just made it bigger. And so we can just put more data through that pipe, and we can get just information from point A to point B a lot more quicker. And so what was the motivation to do this is because we are entering this new 5-year funding cycle. And so we know that we're going to have a lot of robust network projects in place. And so putting this backbone in our network now is, would be a requirement for that. And so I also included a map. I thought it'd be interesting for the board to see how our fiber is physically laid throughout the town of Corsicana. So all of those green routes is where the fiber is laid, and all of that is running back here to the administration building. May I answer any questions about any of that? All good. All right, well, moving into cybersecurity. So I sound like a broken record at this, at least when it comes to when I talk to my team about it. But it's the reality of the situation, especially with AI hitting the scene. The cyber threat against school districts has never been more. It's never been bigger. It's always been big, but especially the last couple of years, it's been tough. So because when these attack groups and hacker groups have now teamed up with an artificial intelligence, it makes them that much more efficient, that much more successful at actually gaining that unlawful access or executing that ransomware in that environment. And so on the flip side of that, school districts still do not have the funding and the resources in place to have the adequate defenses to be able to make sure that we can secure our environment. And so TEA has recognized that as an issue and has created the Texas K-12 Cybersecurity Initiative. And so Corsicana joined this initiative back in September of 24. And when we did that, we gained access to something called CrowdStrike EDR. And so all of this is just a very advanced antivirus. And we have this installed in our servers, and we have it installed in all of our staff machines. The best part about this antivirus is it's probably considered the #1 in the world at stopping ransomware. But also all of the data that is pulling from our servers and our staff machines is being sent back to something called a security operations center. And in that security operations center is a team of cybersecurity experts and analysts, and they are watching CISD data 24/7, 365, looking for those abnormalities, looking for those threats, and they have the ability to take action on those threats. So, if it's Saturday at 2 a.m. and there's something propagating in our network, that team has the ability to stop it right in there versus us finding it, at the end of the day or something like that. And it's been great. It's actually already found a couple threats in our environment so far this year, and it stopped it. So it's worked really well. Cherry on top of that is because we've been joined this initiative, we did not have to renew our current antivirus. And so that's going to save us $124,000 annually moving forward. This is a 2-year initiative, and all indicators are pointing positive that this will continue for another 2 years. And so as long as TEA is offering the support, Corsicana wants to be a partner with them, and we'll continue to do this. All right, moving into student data privacy agreements. So Corsicana ISD, we also joined a consortium called the Student Data Privacy Consortium, or the SDPC for short. And so this is an organization that's geared towards just strengthening the overall practices of securing student data privacy, or just student data and staff data within K-12 environments. And so when we joined this consortium, we gained access to something called the Texas National Data Privacy Agreement, or the TXNDPA for short. And so this is a 23-page legal document that just that safeguards and puts protections around the sharing of our student and our staff data. And so to give you guys an example, ultimately this document, it mitigates the financial risk that comes with us sharing our student data with these third-party vendors. So to give you guys an example, anytime that if we partner with a third-party app, if it's a new CNI application, if it's something with special education, or even if it's a new software for our child nutrition, the way we check our students out at lunchtime, when we onboard with those programs, we have to share all of our student data with them. And a lot of times that information includes what is considered PII, or personally identifiable information. And so that's first names, last names, street addresses, social security numbers, just very, very sensitive info. And so without this document in place, and if that third party were to have a data breach, we would be financially responsible for paying for credit monitoring by law for those students. So, that could be financially really hard on a district. I did rough math on my side. If all 6,000, just under 6,000 of our students' socials got exposed, that could cost whoever's responsible close to $2.1 million a year to pay for that. And I think that monitoring, I believe, has to continue for 3 years at that point. And so This document is great, and it just removes that financial risk from CISD and puts that on the vendor completely. And so the goal moving forward is to just share this agreement with all parties before we share our data with them. On top of that, of the data breach cost reimbursement, it gives us data control and ownership. And so whenever we share data, they cannot sell our data to anybody else. And we also have control on how they delete it and get rid of it. It stops targeted advertising for students. And so when a student signed into their platform and using, they cannot serve ads to those students as they're using their platform. And then, of course, just staying ahead of the curve. Right now, this is not a requirement in Texas for LEAs or school districts to have agreements like this in place. But we want to be a leader in this space and an example in this space, and so we want to start doing this now. May I answer any questions around any of that?
Any questions? No.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So this is an information item for the board. So over the last 5 years, thinking back, there has just been a tremendous amount of change in school districts, specifically in classrooms and the technology tools that are being used in those classrooms. And so, I did some digging when I started looking into this, and I was trying to determine when was the last time that we had a discussion, in a school board meeting or even as a cabinet team, where we were trying to define what are those minimum technology devices that we'll find in a CISD classroom. And so what I did find is it looks like this was the last talked about or established in 2013, and some time has passed and some things have changed since then. And so I thought it would be ideal to let's right-size this for the future and something that we can reference as a district and as departments moving forward. And so on the left side, what was established was one teacher desktop workstation, a projector in every room, 2 student desktop workstations, and a document camera in all the elementary campuses. And so moving forward on the right side is the new classroom technology standard. So it'll be 1 teacher laptop workstation. And so when the teacher walks into the room at the teacher desk, they will have a monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse. But instead of a desktop that sits on the ground, they will have a device on their desk called a docking station, and they can plug their laptop into it. And the only difference is they have the luxury of taking their laptop with them at the end of the day if they need to continue to work or something like that. Instead of projector installs, we are installing interactive flat panels, 65 and 75-inch panels. You guys have probably seen these in our classrooms. They connect back to our teacher workstation, and the teacher can project to them. And then for grade levels pre-K and kinder, we're going to reduce the one-to-one framework in those classrooms down to a class set of 5 iPads each. And then same thing for first grade, we're going to reduce the one-to-one framework in those classrooms and reduce it down to a class set of 10 iPads. And so this decision was a lot of collaboration with our department and CNI, us as a cabinet team, bringing it to our principals, talking to them, getting their feedback. And the ultimate goal here is just we want these students focused back with hands-on learning first before they get into those upper grade levels where a lot of their curriculum is driven through technology. And so we're really excited about that. We think it's going to be really impactful. May I answer any questions around any of that? Sorry, lastly, for grades 2nd through 12th, we'll have a full one-to-one framework with dedicated devices for those students in those classes. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have. All right. Okay, so moving into, I believe, the action item on the agenda. So this is an action item for the board. So, Madam President, Mrs. Howell, distinguished members of the board, thank you for allowing me to present this action item to you tonight. This action item is to establish a student device replacement cycle, Chromebook 4-year lease. And so, back in March of 2020, COVID started, everybody knows this, and businesses, schools started shutting down very quickly, and I will never forget that weekend when we were up here as an administrative team. And the talk, it sounded like that we needed to gear up to get ready to support kids at home and teachers. And so I remember running that inventory report, and at that time we only had 3,000 devices as a district with 6,000 kids, and the 400 teachers that we also needed to provide a device to as well. And so fast forward some months, ESSER 1, ESSER 2, the Emergency Connectivity Fund became available, and the idea behind those funds was to help catapult those school districts into those one-to-one frameworks to support all of the remote learning that was happening for a couple years. And it was an interesting 2 years, absolutely, for sure. So now in 2025, these devices are 5 and 6 years old. The internal components are failing rapidly. Battery life on these things are not ideal for classroom situations. And, it's just the name of the game when it comes to computers and PCs. There's moving parts inside, and they fail. And of course, we fix them as quick as we can, but ultimately, it's become just an investment we'll have to continue to invest in. And so, all of our current student laptop fleet are Dell modeled computers, and across all the different models in that laptop fleet, they are considered end of life and end of support from Dell. So that means Dell will no longer send us hardware updates or software updates for these machines. And on the flip side, that means cybersecurity risk goes up because we cannot mitigate the risk around the vulnerabilities that would be associated with both of those things. So in order for our students to stay at the forefront of technology and to ensure that we always have up-to-date in working condition devices, I propose that the district establish a student device replacement cycle that effectively replaces all student devices from 2nd to 12th grade every 4 years by the process of lease. This project would be executed with district long-term partner Insight Financial Investment. I've highlighted some just key areas on the right of the slide here. So by us entering this lease, we'll be able to establish, probably most importantly, we'll have a game plan to refresh these devices just moving forward and ensuring we've always got new technology for our students and up-to-date technology for our students. The annual lease payment for this lease is budgeted every year. Current devices are in dire shape, refreshes grades 2nd through 12th. STAR testing is all online and is mandatory, so having devices to support that. And then, of course, just avoiding the significant upfront cost of purchasing this equipment outright, which is right at $2.2 million. And then ultimately, we have a game plan. It creates a path for sustainable device refreshes. Plus, the best part is we have a predictable budget here, especially in the hardships that we're facing, all school districts we're facing in Texas. That's a big piece in what we do here, and so it's nice to have that budgeted and just game planned. So I am happy to answer any questions. This is an action item for you guys, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Oh, sorry. Can you tell them what you're going to do with our old devices?
Yes. So we sent with our current laptops, we sent the serials to a bunch of buyback recycling companies, and they came back with prices of $5, $10, and $15 each, which is wild. That's crazy. So we feel better as a district if we were to just wipe them clean, take them back to factory, and maybe we just sell them back to our seniors for $30, something like that. And at least they have some sort of device that can get them through whatever endeavor they're going into at that point. And so, and maybe we even offer like a year free of tech support or something like that for them. And so, we would just get more benefit like that. And of course, we'll probably recycle some of them, but if we can sell them back to our students, that would be our main goal.
How many devices are we looking at in when we do, get new devices? How many?
Yes, ma'am. So it's going to be 6,143 Dell Chromebooks.
Okay.
Model number 3110.
And what's the advantage of a Chromebook over
A Windows machine? Yes, sir. So a Windows machine, what we have now, when we purchase those are around $800 a piece. And from a Chromebook perspective, those are around $329. So just overall cost is going to be, we save a lot of money there. Even when it comes to replacement parts, a Chromebook screen's around $25 versus we've been paying close to $60 for Windows machines. And then, a lot of the resources that we require for our students to connect to, they are online resources. And so a Windows machine is made to run applications that's onboard to the computer, and a Chromebook's meant to connect to the internet and connect to that online resource. So it's cheap, it's lightweight, it's easily fixable, and it connects them directly what we need them to do.
Any other questions? All right. This is an action item.
Madam President, I move that we approve the lease renewal of the student device replacement cycle as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the lease renewal of student device replacement cycle as presented. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I have one more slide for you guys.
Okay,
I'm gonna wrap this thing up
all right.
unless someone else talk up. Okay, so just our 25 plan, our summer 25-26 summer plans, just to wrap everything up. So big project Chromebook implementation. Our team will go to each campus, take out the old equipment, install the new Chromebooks. We'll do campus inventory audit reports, so we'll show up with an inventory report of what's supposed to be on that campus, and then we will go and check and make sure it is in fact on that campus, and then we'll make the adjustments to the report as needed. We'll prepare the older laptops to sell back to our students. We'll stand up some sort of online form and a process for them to do that. And this part I'm excited to tell you guys about. And so all of our team is going to become Dell Tech Direct certified. And so these new machines will have a warranty associated with them. And because our team will now be Dell certified technicians, anytime we had to replace a screen or a keyboard, Dell will actually pay us for doing that work. And so if we swap a screen or a keyboard, that's $10. And for anything that is more difficult to replace, like a motherboard, something internal, they will pay us $50. So I'm very excited about that because we're swapping parts all day. And so we order the part directly from Dell. They overnight it to us. We'll have it that next day and back in the classroom, back in the students' hands. So, all right. Thank you, guys. That's all I have. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I was going to ask why we weren't going one-to-one on the iPads, but I
Sure.
love our reasoning behind it because I think our little ones are on a phone or device
Yes, ma'am.
way too much.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're starting to see the impact of that in our pre-K and kinder kids and their ability to socialize and talk
Right.
and communicate. So I love that.
Yes, ma'am. That's definitely our perspective, and we're excited to see the results of that in a couple of years. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next is the alongside update.
All of that. That was informative. My slides aren't nearly as cool. Okay. Okay. All right. So I will tell you that as Madam President, Ms. Howell, distinguished board members, thank you for letting special programs come and present this. I will say that as a cabinet and talking with our superintendent, things like that, we love to tell you all the really awesome things. The things that are really cool and great and innovative, because we do have really cool and great and innovative things that our students do every single day. But we also believe that we have to know where we are to know where we're going, right? So if we're gonna dare to be different, then we've gotta know where we're at so that we can make change. So what we're gonna kind of talk about a little bit is some data points from our older kiddos and then some things that we consider with our younger kiddos based on need that we're seeing in our district. Okay, so if you remember, during the fall, we presented about Alongside. That was that innovative, it's that IT bot that works with our kiddos. They can chat, but they also have character lessons. It's an app that they have on their phones. We did it from Collins to the high school. It's 24/7. If we're on Christmas break, it doesn't matter. Kiddos have access to it. Our teachers also have access to it, and they actually just created an educator account that is specific to teacher burnout, teacher struggle, mental health of teachers. So it's really cool. But another thing that was really neat about our partnership with them was that because they are gathering data right now, we got to be a research partner for them. So we had, at the beginning, we had our students take a survey. That survey was based on norm referenced assessment tools. So they were, nationwide referenced assessments. So we could get some really good data points back so that in a couple months we'll test again to see if it was an effective product, essentially, right? But what it also gives us is a really good picture of where our kids are at right now. Okay, so again, I'm gonna say that some of the data is not rainbows and sunshine and awesome, but it does let us know where we can go. And because we are pretty solution oriented, right? We already have one, we're gonna tell you about it. So, okay. So we had 870 English surveys, 14 Spanish surveys, because it does match your home language, across our 3 campuses, so Collins, the high school, and the middle school. Okay? So when looking at emotional concerns, okay, those emotional challenges, these referenced questions, typical norm, okay? What you want to see is about 80% in the normal range. You want to see about 10% borderline and 10% abnormal. That means that we would be matching kind of the national average, okay? An emotional challenge, that's kiddos answering questions like, I'm scared to come to school. Somewhat, not at all, and then answering those questions, okay? But it's testing emotional well-being, like anxiety, sadness, fear, those somatic responses, like I get a stomach ache every time I come to school, or I'm telling my mom I don't want to be here, those type of responses. So what you will see is our kiddos, we have 67% in that normal range, we have 12% in our borderline, and 21% in our abnormal. So our abnormal is higher than we would want it to be, okay? So right then we go, okay, so our kids are a little bit nervous. We got to figure out what's going on. Now, simple reality is safety and security is number one on everybody's mind right now. Student services and chief work every single day, always on campuses, always being present every single day to make sure that our kiddos are safe, but now we've got to create that feeling of being safe. Peer relationships, so that is, hey, I can make friends, I can sustain relationships, I can handle kind of those normal things happening. Again, we would want to see 80-10-10. So we have 63, 26 in borderline, and 11 in abnormal. So while we don't have that extreme in the abnormal, our borderline kiddos, so what it tells us is, hey, I'm kind of on a tightrope. Like I can handle it, but I'm really not quite sure, okay? But I can make friends, but I don't know about dealing with hard stuff with friends. So it lets us again know, okay, so I've got this feeling, but now this is how I'm connecting to others. Conduct concerns, okay? This is kind of where on the education side that discipline comes in, discipline referrals. So this is, how do I feel about following rules at school? How do I feel about being maybe obedient or disobedient? Maybe it's that I can't really regulate when I'm mad. And so when my teacher says something and I have something to say right back, okay? So again, we're looking for that 80-10-10, but we have 68-13-19, okay? So again, we're kind of ticking up into those areas of, okay, so if I'm looking at, I don't really feel real safe all the time, and then my peer relationships are affected, and now my conduct is a concern, which again, makes sense, right? Like if we're looking at those hierarchy of needs and what I need to feel safe and good, but I don't, here I am, okay? So our prosocial behaviors, again, you're looking at 80-10-10. This one is by far, we're very normed there, okay? So that's awesome. And that's in that we believe in those positive, good, positive social behaviors like kindness and empathy, working as a team, cooperating, which lets us know our kids know they're good kids, and they are, and they want to be a part, and they want to do, but they've got some things going right now that are making them kind of feel a certain way, okay? So, but that's great. That's our first one to go, okay, what do we work with? There it is. We want to treat each other well. We know each other has value. We have worth. We're connecting with each other. So that's awesome. Okay, so this is academic. So this is when I feel like I have the ability to understand tasks, I can get my work done, I can do all the things that a teacher or an educator is asking of me. What we would want to see is not a bell curve. What we would want to see is the slope. I'm gonna try to do this backwards. So would be your slope starting low, ticking up a little bit, and then ending really high. Okay, that's perfect world. Okay, that does not mean that's reality. It means perfect world. That's what you would want to see. But you can see that our kiddos are kind of hanging in the middle, which means a good amount of our kiddos have a good feeling within that scope, or I feel like I can manage it. I don't feel like I'm good at it, but I can manage it. I'm okay, but I'm not like knocking this out, right? When we know that our kids have the potential to knock it out, right? So, and then emotional regulation, which I will tell you that this is what we are seeing the most. Ms. Roman just mentioned about the screen time and that we're seeing it in our little bitties, our pre-K and kinder. This is where we struggle, okay? Regulating emotion, but again, this is our bigs. This is our secondary kiddos answering these questions. So on this one, regulating emotions, like I am frustrated, I am mad, I'm angry, I have anxiety, I'm anxious towards tasks, or maybe even just relationships and friendships. So again, you can kind of see we would want it to go up really high on that high, and we're kind of hanging in the middle. Like I can hang, but I don't know how long I'm going to hang, is kind of how our students are thinking, how they feel about themselves right now, okay? Now I'm going to tell you, again, these are not my favorite questions. They kind of broke my heart a little bit, but again, that's not relevant, right? We have to know where we are so we can know where to go, where we need to focus our energy to make sure our kiddos feel connected, feel safe. So they had 2 answer choices on this question, yes and no. The rest of the questions were very much kind of a scale. They could say absolutely, of course, all the way to no way, right? They could pick, and they could pick in between. This was just yes or no. So they had to make a choice. So the first one was, do you have a teacher or other adult from school where you can be completely, or who you can be completely yourself around? And 31% of our kids said no. So that's concerning. Okay? And then the second was, well, do you have a friend at school who you can completely be yourself around? 13% said no. Now, there's good in that. Like, I mean, 87% saying I've got a bud is a great thing. But we have to reach that 13%. Okay? And then the next one was, do you have a teacher or other adult from school you can count on to help you no matter what? And 24% of our kids, so a quarter of our kids said no. The reality is that our kiddos live in poverty every single day, a large number of them. They don't have these connections. That's a typical characteristic of poverty because parents are working or they're out of the home. And our kids are living that reality every day. So if I then come to school and I don't have that connection of who I can count on because I already probably am a little bit guarded, we've got to make a change. We have to fix that, right? So for a quarter of our kids, that's a big number. And then, or do you have a friend that you can count on? So that one stayed about the same as that relationship. So about 13% said no. So again, we look to, okay, we've got this piece of data that says our kids are struggling a little bit, which we knew, right? We've talked about the mental health of our students in depth this year. We've had significant overhauls in a lot of programs. We're a big ship. We turn slow, right? But we're turning. And so now we're looking at this data point and we go, okay, well then what do we do? And then we have, chief and student services working on committees because of our things that are happening within our community. Okay, we've got to get together. Let's figure this out. So Ms. Howe, cabinet members were able to come together and say, okay, what do we do, guys? What do we bring in? We looked at all kinds of different things. Our students' attendance, which we knew we started attend this year. Student achievement, so C&I, looking at how they're achieving in the classroom, because we know if a kiddo doesn't feel safe and comfortable and all those things, then I'm not going to learn, right? So special education referrals, that's a big deal, right? Because when I start to maybe have behaviors or I do feel this way, then gaps start happening in my achievement, and then all of a sudden I have gaps, and now I'm being referred potentially for special education, when in reality, I just had a gap that wasn't addressed. So now we're evaluating, and we have more special ed staff and all of these things, right? Safety and security coming in. What does our community look like? We have a large number of our kids right now that are getting in trouble with gun violence outside of school. Okay, let's bring that. So what's that data point? There's that one. Student behavior and discipline. While we have a significant reduction in discipline referrals, specifically at the middle school this year, in the year past, still it's high. What do we do? So our answer to that, and this is kind of what we really want to let you know. So this is hey, we know where we're at. So where are we going? Is capturing kids' hearts. If you're familiar with the program, then it sells itself. But if you're not, we want to talk about it just really quickly. And like I said, I know it's a lot of information, but this is the good part, right? Like, this is the solution. So this is what we need to focus on. So it is training, coaching, but it is for the adults. So a lot of times when there's a problem, it's really easy to go, oh, that kid needs to do this, or this kid needs to do that. When in reality, we are the adults in the room, and we are fostering that culture, and we are the ones creating those things. So capturing kids' hearts comes in, trains all of our teachers. The goal eventually will be that literally everyone in our district is trained, from bus drivers to custodians to board members. Come on board, but it's that we're all speaking the same language. And so when they go from one elementary, let's say my family's kind of naturally transient, right? Like, so I went to Bowie, but then we moved, and now I'm at Navarro, and then we moved again, and so now I'm at Carroll, and then I actually left the district for a year, and then when I came back, I was in the middle school, which happens. That happens with our kids. So, but if we're all speaking the same language, and the classrooms are operating within these connections, then I already have that connection. I already feel like I belong. I know expectations, right? And so much of it is creating the relationship with kiddos. And that's the key to all of it. And so this whole program is built around a relationship-driven culture. That if I connect with you on a base level, like we know where we're at. So when there is a moment where we disagree, or maybe you are having a bad day when I ask you to do something, we already have that relationship. So I'm gonna say, Kathy, hey, you know I don't talk to you like that. Why are you talking to me like that? Oh, you're right, miss, you know. Okay. I'll talk to you later. Okay, good deal. And we're back teaching instead of going to the office, and then I'm at the office over and over, and then I have persistent misbehavior, and then I'm at DAP. We're not doing that because we've got a relationship. Is it perfect world all the time? No, but it's a system in place for when it's not perfect world, right? Because it's built into the system all the way into discipline too. If I get a referral, well then I'm going and answering some questions. Hey, what were you doing? What were you supposed to be doing? Were you doing it? You weren't doing it? We're gonna fix it? Yes, sir. All right, let's get back to class because it's about them being there and learning and not just saying that I'm in trouble all the time, right? So this very much facilitates it. It is incredibly transformative, and we are rolling it out to every single campus, which I will tell you that not every district is able to do that because it is an investment. But Ms. Howell, cabinet members feel like we've got to address those data points. We've got to make sure our kids feel like they are loved and that they belong because they are loved and they do belong. And so we've got to facilitate that feeling and that connection and across the board. So pre-K all the way to our seniors, I'm going to tell you, out of secondary, it's going to take a minute, okay? High school is a different ball game, but it will be there and we will keep working it. So you can see just in that shared language, a shared vision that says daring to be different, but the different looks like you got cut off. So outside of the just, our kids need this. They need to know they are worth it. They need to know that we care about them, that we love them, and creating that culture. What we also know is that capturing kids' hearts is incredibly research-based. It has been around for years. I think they're on their 30th-ish, 32 year. With that becomes a lot of data points, which is awesome. I like the data points in my analytical brain, right? And so what we know is we will see decrease in discipline referrals. We will see increase in student attendance, which both of those equal increase in academic, which means our graduation rates increase, which all of that together means that we're addressing teacher satisfaction as well. Because when I'm walking into my classroom and we're going and we've got good systems and I get to see light bulbs and kids are testing well, hey, I want to be there. That's where I want to stay. So even though we are addressing a huge need in our district with that student relationship piece, we are also addressing a lot of other pieces. So any questions about the program?
My thing, I love it. I think it's amazing. Are you able, you might have already said this, to identify those students that was in the...
So it's a great question. So a lot of the student data, because it's a true research project, they're essentially like redacted. So we can't identify the specific student that said that. One thing they are getting us is by campus, so that we can focus some good social emotional strategies there. But obviously our students use alongside often, specifically Collins. We have really high numbers there, how many lessons they're doing, how often they're on it, how often they're chatting. So resources are kind of focused there. But kind of what we've seen from those, like I said, those data points that we just grabbed that were in those circle bubbles, and then that information from our secondary, really what we saw was systemically, this is a struggle for our kids. So from our pre-K kiddos that are really struggling with emotional regulation right now. And it's like it used to be, defiance looked like, right? Well, now it looks like, I'm gonna bite you. I'm gonna grab something. It just has changed. The world has changed. And so we've got to be proactive in that tier one, everybody intervention, all the way up to our secondary. So while I wish we could have specific students, what I will say, another point to the program that we're doing is called traction visits. And so we will have strategists for each campus through Capturing Kids' Hearts. And so they will be able to identify, like, hey, this campus is rocking and rolling. This campus needs a little bit more help. We're going to focus some efforts here so that we can find kind of like those hot points that we're able to address them.
And one of the reasons why I was saying it, because later on you were saying how that the later part of the program was for the adults as well, the teachers, and this and that. Is there a way that you can, because you know we recognize that yes they're coming from a poverty state and all that, but that's back at home.
Sure.
Is there a way to integrate the parents to even at least get them involved to see that, look, we really care for your children, but we also care for you, to see if you care enough for your, you know, get what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so is there a way that we're integrating them, or that they can be brought in to make the connection from the district and the community?
Yes, so I will say that really that's kind of twofold. One is that they offer some parent training style stuff, some parent night style things, which is great, but if we can't get parents to come, then that's tough. The second thing is the biggest piece is probably in that shared language. So all of our events, everything we're doing as far as parent engagement, that's the language that we're using and talking with. And so you can kind of make those connections. So like, for example, I think like when we have Family Matters events, which is where it kind of covers a lot of different things. Family collaboration and connection was, I think, the last one. Well, we're able to kind of talk about those things, like those strategies of what that relationship looks like, how it looks in the classroom. Like, so part of it is, without just getting kind of into the weeds, part of it is a social contract, which essentially is like we're talking about at the very beginning, first week of school, but before the first week and a half of school, we're talking about how do you want to be treated by me as the teacher? How do you think I would want to be treated by you? What are some shared norms in our classroom? Typically you're going to get, well, I mean, I want you to treat me with respect. You know, I don't want you to yell at me. You know, stuff like that. So you're having those conversations. If we're doing the same things in our Family Matters meeting, right? We have, hey, these are our norms, this is how we connect, then they're automatically going to start bridging that together. Some of it is just integrating those things in everything that we do on all of our campuses, so it is just who we are. Yeah. And amping up parent engagement stuff. You know, I mean, that's just the reality of it too. You know, we need more things with our parents.
When was the original survey sent out to the students?
So they did that this fall.
This fall. And they're going to receive another survey before the end of the school year?
Yes,
so we can
May,
see.
We're trying to get past STAR
Right.
and all the good testing stuff. And then basically they did it as a, like, hey, we want to see if our program works.
Right.
We did it as, hey,
Yeah.
we need to see progress in our kids,
Right.
you know. But
Right.
yes, so in May, the same individuals will test again. Their
Okay.
system will automate that. So one day they'll log on, but they'll see a survey before they can get in again, and it will create the data points.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Mr. Minkins? No?
It's good stuff.
It is.
It is.
It is, it is.
Great
All
job.
right.
Great job, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is the 2025-2026 TEAC certification.
Okay. Good evening, Ms. Howell, President Roman, members of the board. I have the certification of provision of instructional materials for the 25-26 school year for ratification and signature. So in accordance with Texas Education Code 31.1011, LEAs must annually certify that all students have access to instructional materials that cover 100% of the TEACs and that we protect against obscene or harmful content in compliance with the Children's Internet Protection Act. So within this document, all of the instructional materials except for one area are the same as they were this year. So the only change that we're making that we'll obviously need the approval on is what we talked about in a previous board meeting back in February. For K-5, we are using the Texas Bluebonnet Learning as our full subject material for phonics and ELA. And then also, in order to maintain coherence between our English language arts and our Spanish language arts, we are also requesting to use the Spanish Bluebonnet pilot for this coming school year. So those are two separate curriculums. One is fully ready to go and one of them is in the pilot stage. But we feel like that would be best for our Spanish classrooms to be getting the same curriculum that the English classrooms are getting. That decision was basically made by a committee that met in the fall. They were all trained on research-based instructional strategies. And then from that training, we made a framework for RLA curriculum or RLA instruction in the district. And then we chose the Bluebonnet curriculum because it aligned with our beliefs and values of what we believe is high quality reading instruction. Does anybody have any questions about that?
So the curriculum, any curriculum we use is approved by the Texas Education Agency, correct?
Not always, no.
Not always,
So the Bluebonnet is, so they have a new rubric that they're using. So it used to be SBOE, State Board of Education Approval.
Okay.
Now it's IMRA, Instructional Materials Review and Assessment, I think is what that stands for. And so the new rubric this year only has a small handful of approved materials on it. Now you can still use things that are not on there, but all of those companies are now starting to create new packages of products that they can present so they can be on that IMRA list.
Okay.
Yes,
Right,
TEA,
right.
yes,
Bluebonnet is
sorry.
approved, yes.
Yes.
Sorry, I misunderstood the question.
Yeah, yeah. No, I just, that's a big concern for people across the state is, the curriculum and
For sure.
I don't think they all realize that TEA regulates the curriculum and, what we can and cannot teach, so.
Right.
Okay. This is an action item.
I move that we approve the 2025-26 TEAC certification as presented.
I have a motion and a second to approve the 2025-2026 TEAC certification as presented. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, next is the consent agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
All right, I have a motion. We have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda as presented. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, consent agenda is approved. Now we are going to move into closed session as permitted by Texas Governance Code Section 551.01. Thank you.